Hello and welcome, and mute if you're not commentating. This is Formula E in UR2D. We are here for qualifying with our biggest grid ever. 18 drivers filling 9 teams will take the start in, well, hopefully take the start, in this race. They've definitely all started qualifying, and gosh, this is quite something. I am joined, as always, by the wonderful, the fantastic, the brilliant Nuno.
Hello.
Hello, Nuno. What can we expect to see here today?
Well, hopefully more overtaking, because if there's a track where there's more possible, it's gonna be this one. There's some corners where there's a lot more space, and yeah, it should allow for us to see a lot more action happening and more overtaking, hopefully cleanly as well. But yeah, obviously there are some corners like the first 2 turns where it's so easy to just kill someone, and also the final few turns that sort of slow there, where I wouldn't be surprised if someone gets completely stuck in there. If they're going side by side, they really need to back off there, and and yeah, but it should be a very interesting race here. The track itself is also very interesting. The final turn, from what I remember, I think it was a bit of a challenge sometimes to just not hit the wall at the end, and so we really needed to be a bit careful there. But yeah, it is a lot of turns also quite fast, a little bit with some little hairpins, of course. But yeah, let's see how things will go as we see Chargety leading the way.
He absolutely is. Yeah, great assessment. Can hear a little bit of shuffling, so if that's somebody who's racing and needs to mute them, please do. Yeah, great assessment. Lots and lots of corners is probably a good way to sum up this Tempelhof circuit. It is on the airfield of Berlin. Unlike the layout that has been seen for almost every season of Formula E, Season 3 onwards, which is pretty much iconic in the series, this is a unique to Season 1 layout of Tempelhof. It has a lot of corners, lots of these sort of tricky little chicanes, double apex corners. It's very technical, and as you said, these hairpins, particularly at turn 1, as well as turns 2 and 3, and later down on the track, one of the final corners just as we approach it here on board with Crunk. Really good spots for overtaking. You need to keep it clean though, because it's very easy to just get sandwiched on the exit. We've seen most of our drivers set a time. Flix is staying out, but almost everybody else will be going right through for the pit stops here. It's Charged as well as Isto in. These two, a pretty formidable duo, coming over from the Formula Esports Leagues. They were both in that BAR team a couple seasons ago. Both incredibly quick drivers, especially in the domain of time trial. And, of course, you know, race wins and podiums in Ultimate League also to back that up. So not too bad for these two. JT has never raced in Formula E. Isto has proved his mettle. We'll see what these two Brits can do today. Corvid right between them on track in this qualifying session. What challenge can he provide come the race? Of course, he won the ever prestigious Monaco ePrix last time out. So, we'll have to wait and see. JT provisionally on track to get into Superpole. Hetmenica and Kubo. Great to see Hetmenica back racing. He's come into Formula E for this Berlin ePrix. He's in the next EV TCR car, their first race of the season, I believe. And he is here showing what he can do. 13th at the moment, time just faster than Kubo. Minute left in the session, Nuno. How's it going to shake up? Who's going to get in the top 5, do you think?
Well, I think the usual suspects, Stoli and Harvick, should be there. Chargety, I think, can really do pretty well. He's actually leading the way. He's still also got Mati also doing a good qualifying, but I'm pretty sure that I stole these words that Harvick can improve on their laps. And yeah, if you see, let's see what can Stoli do, and not really an improvement there. It's a bit shocking as we see Corvid already pitting, so we can maybe still have one chance here if they cross the line before the end of these 30 seconds.
Yes.
And yeah, we got Graf also up there for Lamy. Corvid currently outside the top 6, the top 5 I mean. And it seems like a bit of a surprise there.
Yeah, definitely. You'd say the odd one out there is the Trulli driver, Gorlomi, as well as obviously JT. But Matty in there as well, second fastest at the moment. Not going to count for much apart from starting position for Superpole. But this is our on-track leader, Flix. And as he finishes off this lap, That'll mean that all drivers need to finish their laps. If it was a little bit slower, we'd have 1 lap fewer in qualifying, but we should see these drivers all get in their 8 laps. Yeah, definitely interesting. We'll watch as drivers come across the line to finish off what will be nearly the final laps. Go on, Nuno.
Yeah, Sparvey here has one more chance here to take position in the top 5. He really needs to nail it now. He's certainly under pressure, I'm pretty sure. Because starting from P6 for him is not going to be an easy task. Although it is a track where overtaking might be a bit easier, but we'll have to see. As he's now on the final hairpin to then go for that final section there.
Yeah, keep your eyes pinned on the timing screens on the left-hand side. This will be huge if Corvid is out in this session. He'll be one of the last drivers to hit the line, and he goes through to the Super Pole session. 3rd place in the end. That will surely knock out Gorlomi. We'll go to the results screen just as the final driver is finishing up his laps. We'll go to the results screen right now. JT, Isto, Corvid, Matty and Kraf will all take part in the Super Pole session. J2, the debutant today for the Next EV TCR team. Stoli and Corvid are top 2 in the championship. Pretty much expected. Kraf, the great rear gunner to the Virgin team, and once again in Super Pole looking to stamp down with another podium this season. Matimar, a perhaps surprise addition, but he has really shown pace in the last couple of FE races. 4 7th place finishes in a row, and since then 3rd, 5th and 6th for the Polish driver. Just missing out by about 1/10 of a second was Gorlomi in the end. He'll start from 6th ahead of Andries in 7th. Juan Dorn starts from 8th position, his return to the league. Anti-Amazing in his first race for the newly resold Audi team, now under the ownership of Caddo, with a lineup of Anti and UR. Flicks, the reserve, is in for UR today. He'll start 9th, and Khan will start 10th. A great lap for the Dragon reserve driver. Kubo starts 11th, although he may not start the race per se. Driving as a free agent, he is. Lobster 12th, then it's Flicks in 13th, Eurus 14th, Hetmenica, and then Krunk, Jaruni, and then X610 right at the back, and then us 2 commentators just sitting there. This should be fascinating to see what will happen in this Super Pole session. Here we go. 5 drivers, 2 laps, 1 will start from pole position. We are underway for Super Pole. Kraf, I think, stalled off the grid or didn't react in time. He is well back from this front 4-pack now. JT and Isto are the top 2 at the moment, where they qualified pretty much. Corvid and then Matty. Then remember, this is a 2-lap ghosted race to decide who has the fastest times, and will start from the very front, taking the 3 points for pole position. JT already, if he finishes the race here today, will take 3 points for winning the time trial competition as well. So this could be an amazing debut, a full sweep of points for the debutant driver if he can put this final lap together against the ever-pressing I Stole These Words. I'd love to welcome Kubo to the commentary box. Kubo, P11 in qualifying. What do you think our top 5 can do here?
Oh, well, I think it's quite easy to see what they can do. In terms of the spread we've got going on here, it's definitely Joe and Stoli finding the most pace, but don't count out Corvid. He's working towards something for sure.
He is cooking. He's in 3rd. Kraf has now caught up to Matty. Stoli just ahead of JT. It will all come down to the final couple corners. Different lines they go for. JT gets a good exit, and I think that'll be enough for his debut race in Formula E. Charge JT will not take pole position.
Kraf starts ahead of Corvid as well. I think that was due to his stalling.
Maybe that's right. Gosh.
The Virgin's clearly awarded through bad internet.
Kubo. Anything to say there? Damn. Okay, so as it goes on the results screen, although not per se what I saw, but we'll roll with this. I Stole These Words for Virgin will take Super Pole off Charge JT, who will start on the front row for Next EV TCR. Kraf will start 3rd, just ahead of Corvid, and then Matimar starts 5th for Mahindra. Matty was quite slow. They sort of got caught up to by Kraf, but obviously that starting position in the top 5 will still help him immensely. We'll roll straight on now to the, hopefully, 17 drivers taking the start for the Berlin ePrix. Here we go then. 17 drivers will take the start.
Are we gonna have silly soft runners? No.
We are underway, and the two Virgin drivers, just like in Superpole, have stalled off the grid. That means JT briefly took the lead. We've got huge crashes going on in the background. I believe Juan Dorn was one of the drivers forced into the wall there. No soft runners off the start. Flicks all the way down to 17th. Oh, he's stopped at turn 1. That's an issue for him. Definitely. X6 also with a very, very slow start. We're not quite sure what the reason of Flick's stoppage is. He's now going. So the Audi car has pulled away. Maybe a technical issue off the start, an electrical fault for that brand new Audi car under Cado's ownership. Not a great start for the team, but we are rolling here. And JT up the inside of Stoli. Can he take the lead? He just goes a little bit cautious. Kraft, though, does get the move done on Matimar. Takes it into the turn 3 hairpin, and he gets backed up at that wall. That means Hetmenica will slow down. Sexy Digger there. Kronk stuck in the wall. Jiruni has to just get around him. Big hold-ups towards the back of the pack. Big crashes. Go on, Kubo.
Flex, no driving backwards.
Oh, dearie. I feel like he may be pulling in to retire, or either he's going for a very early pit stop. We're not quite sure. I think he might be retiring from the race. Stoli leads from JT. And then Kraf, Matty, and then Corvid and Andres, Lobster, then Gorlomi. Gorlomi has dropped down a few positions off that race start. Anti, I believe, has as well. Flix is DNFing. He has troubles. We are down to 16 drivers in this race. Hetmenica and X6, two drivers who fought so hard for that top 10 back in Lausitzring in Season 8 of Sunday League. They're going to be fighting currently over 14th place in this Formula E race. As we see the front two so close together, so I might have to cut you off at some point, but Nuno, I'd love to hear your thoughts on that start. If he's here.
Kraft fastest lap, he's not too far behind them.
Yeah, Kraft is winless in Formula E. Our only winners have been Corvid and I Stole These Words, always picking up the slack, one of them, when the other isn't there or isn't on their best days. Isto, I don't think, has ever finished outside the top 2. JT right on his tail, really providing an issue for the Brit driver in this one-off race for him. Potentially one-off. We'll see if he gets a taste for it and decides to come back next week for Moscow, or week after next. We're going to a late season break.
Corvid is certainly struggling with Matty in front of him in P4. That might be a difficult overtake for Corvid to perform.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that it was I believe it was Matty or Lobster, and I can't quite recall who. Somebody in Long Beach really struggling to get past Corvid. It is now sort of
Matty.
It was Matty, right? It's now the flip of that, where Matty is the one holding up the Australian driver who has such great pace with these cars. He's going for the move down into the hairpin. Matty will just prevail around the outside. Further back, Andres, Corvid's teammate, runs in 6th. It's Lobster in 7th. Double Trulli running. Urist in the top 10. His only race so far was a DNF in Punta del Este. Juan Dorn in his return to the league, 10th, ahead of his old teammate, Antti, who has fled to the Audi team. Hetmenica, X6, Jiruni just cuts off Kronk, the last two of the runners. Flicks out of this race. Yeah, Cubs, give us a bit of your overview.
Well, what can be said? Red Lobster trying to go for a inside maneuver on Mart. Their Mart doesn't give him the ability to do so. Gerlomi now getting closer to them as a result. Further down the field, Hetmenika's having a nice performance thus far, ahead of X6 and Jiruni. Looks like Jiruni, as always, at his own
Ooh, big crash.
Speaking of these,
Jesus.
X6 down the inside of Het, and that's allowed Jared to get past both of them.
Crikey.
Like I was saying, Jared's made this track, and he often does not have great pace in his own tracks, and it's showing here. He's down in 13th.
Do you think it's a complacency thing? He's like, oh, I made the track, sure, I'm good at it. Also, welcome back, Nuno.
Yeah, just saw Corvid passing Matty, and I think Matty might have a bit of PTSD with Corvid, as he got crashed there into turn 1. And yeah, so Corvid had to P4.
I love how we've all mentioned the Long Beach thing. Yeah, Corvid is past Matty. The front two still so close together. I'd be surprised. I think JT has more pace than Isto at this phase in the race. We've got a really opposite thing. And just to put it into a bit of context, last race, Crunk did a stint, his second stint, that was 30 laps long. This race is only 23 in total. So that puts into perspective the length of this track versus the very short, quick Monaco harbourside layout. That's a cut-off of the normal Formula 1 track. Very long, very twisty, this circuit, for Formula E standards, certainly. Not just the normal mini chicanes that you get, and actually providing very entertaining racing so far.
It's very important to note that Joe and Stolly have been very respectful driving with each other. Joe, on that turn 1 hairpin, has been slowing down to not force Stolly into the wall, so that is certainly a part of why they are separated from the rest of the field here in first and second, although Kraft is, as always, still trying to chase them down.
Yes, they're two very respectful drivers by default. Sorry, Nuno, you about to come in.
Yeah, I think Charge might potentially have to try something here against Stolly on the pitch, maybe another cut or something like that, because Curtis seems to be a little bit hard. Also, he's really trying his best to make a clean or overtake, which is obviously a lot of respect there.
Lobster in.
Lobster in.
Yeah. Look
And
at
yeah,
him go.
should be interesting to see if Charge can make a move on Stolly. He said he might be trying to apply the pressure a little bit, or maybe in these initial stages just trying to stay away from the others, so there's no more people involved here. And there he goes, undercut.
Crunk
Yep.
DNF, by the way, he's just stopped in the pits, I think. So
Too much damage. Ah, poor Crunk. His first race as Renault Reserve, and that car has just been slapped into the wall, left, right, and centre. Unfortunate for the Canadian. Now, this is going to be really interesting. JT and Kraft into the pit lane. Where do they emerge on track? Behind Urist. That is a statement that drives fear into the hearts of many. And JT in 7th place now. Urist in 6th. JT has to try and get past, unless all of the cars ahead of him will go in immediately. We've also got Anti.
Urist lets him through.
Urist lets him through. Brilliant. Anti. Juan. Jaruni into the pit lane. Crunk out. Khan is also out of the race. Gorlomi is now just ahead of Charge, who has been let through by Urist. Kraft yet to catch the Portuguese driver. We'll keep tabs now, because this is a very important stage of the race. Gorlomi is into pit lane. 6th place, as he was 5th place, I think, just before JT got to him. So a very good opening stint from the Italian driver. Can he close it off? Take some great points for Trulli. He's not going to lose too much track position, especially right behind Hetmenica going through. X610 into the pit lane. Hetmenica takes 8th position. Nuno.
Still not beating yet, so but now there he goes. But it's going to be 2 lap undercut here from JT. I'm pretty sure he should take the position. So I think Stolly just betting on the fact that JT will be on a more unbalanced strategy, so maybe he can try and pass him back. But yeah, let's see what can the British driver do against
as he comes up the main straight. Charge JT, nice and easy for him.
Yeah, that was predictable. 2 laps undercuts would always be big, but now JT might be suffering on this second stint, but maybe he can counter-attack that by just having generally better pace. So let's see.
The boy from Croydon, and what a job he's doing. In his first race in Formula E, he now finds himself a good few seconds ahead of the pack. You can hear the fans absolutely going crazy out there. They are making all the noise in the grandstands around the stadium to see this rookie debutant driver going through into the race lead. Stoley 3 seconds back, but does have the fresher tyres. Lots of drivers now in. Khan and Crunk, the drivers out of the race, are the only ones who didn't make a pit stop. So everyone has come in for their mandatory stop. And our front 3 now, JT, Stoley and Kraft, the Virgins, running 2 and 3. Corvid looking to be off the podium for the first time. Kubo.
Urist just got past Juan, however he did have to force him into the wall in order to finish that maneuver. He is up into 10th place.
Yeah, my God. Good race from him. These two drivers haven't been in the league. I think both of them had their last race at Punta del Este, if I'm not incorrect. Eurus just a reserve driver. Juan in as the Renault full-timer in this record-breaking race. And X6 and Hetmanica, look at them, side by side. Hetmanica, X6 actually the one who comes off worst there, despite on my screen looking like he was the one being the driver forcing Hetmanica wide. No, he got the full stop from that wall. And it goes a little bit wide through that hairpin as well. Hetmanica running in a decent little 13th place. He's just a few positions off the points here. Girouni in 12th, Juan Dorn, then Eurus, then Lobster. This is a very close pack from 9th down to 11th. The anti-amazing, then Gorlomi, Andres, and then Matimar, Corvid, Kraft, Isto, JT. And rarely, very rarely, for a Formula E race, no drivers are within a second of each other. Fascinating. So they drive past the airplane.
Corvid is close, well, at least less than 3 seconds from Kraft. It was 2-second gap. So interesting. We'll see a battle of the podium happening here soon.
Yeah.
Kraft, of course, undercut, so that might be a reason for Corvid gaining this time. And it's similar with Stolly's down to 2-second gap from 3.
Yeah, you gain 2 tenths in the last 2 laps, 2 tenths each lap, so you gain almost half a second in these last 2 laps. So this could be really close because now the difference will get bigger and bigger as laps goes on, as GT tires will be struggling certainly more. As yeah, it was a 2-lap undercut, and I'm pretty sure maybe after 13 laps those hards might be suffering a bit. So yeah, this might be a very, very close one in the end. As you can see now, Stolly with his best lap of the race, and he gains, I think, almost 4 tenths. Yeah, so really gaining a lot now. The pressure might be starting to get applied to JT here.
Also, Corvid gaining a lot of Kraft, 6 tenths last lap, and looks like about 8 tenths this lap on Kraft. He's right on the back of him now.
This looks almost like a foregone conclusion. The fight for the lead will be right down to the wire. Corvid, though, very close to Kraft. You would say, actually, that JT is still in the advantageous position because of the track position that he holds.
Yep.
This being maybe that one circuit in the Formula E calendar where you can make a move down the inside, send it late on the brakes into the hairpin and get a pretty clean overtake done. With the hairpin. Oh, side by side go Corvid and Kraft here. Corvid on the outside switches it to the inside. Kraft, I think, was forced slightly wide by the trailer of the Australian driver, but he goes through into 3rd place. A great on-track scrap between these two drivers. Nuno.
Yeah, I wanted to say that on these turns, there are some corners here where the exit can really make a huge difference because there's some straights, like after turn 3, at 3rd hairpin, basically, it's you know, you can gain some speed there. And
Joe gained some time on Stolly last lap. 3 tenths gained on Stolly. Stolly must have not had a great lap.
Interesting.
Yeah, and any mistake could really cost him a lot. But as I was saying, there are some turns. I think turn 3 up to the run down to the turn 4, the turns that they're doing right now, could be maybe Stolly's best chance for an overtaking if he can get JT first.
Still a very close pack from 9th to 11th place. Lobster, Eurus and Juan, who have stayed pretty much in that order. And that is our closest fight outside the podium positions. Kraft still right on the back of Corvid, but clips the wall a little bit coming out of the final sector hairpin there. Stolly closing in, 39.8 for him on the last lap, 39.2 for JT. He's not closing in, you're right, Kubo. Yeah, the track position, really big thing. I think it all comes down to sort of calculating risk versus rewards, overcut versus undercut. X6 is out of the race. That is our 4th DNF of the race. We'll have 13 finishes. X6, I don't think that was probably not prompted by any particular crashing. I think he might have just been a bit bored driving on his own. So fair enough. I think there's always a concern from these top drivers that if they pit, they're going to get stuck in traffic. You know, drivers who haven't stopped yet, drivers running long, drivers who are just going to be in that mix and mixing up. And you can see Eurus and Lobster battling a lap down. It's going to be a real concern for the likes of Isto. But actually what's happened, how it's materialised at least, was JT pitted, came out behind Eurus. Eurus duly let him through, and JT encountered no further traffic, meaning he was able to use the full potential of that undercut, get the time, get the positions, and I think Stolly, for such a great driver that he is, he will gain points on Corvid. I have very little doubt because he is on to finish a position ahead of him as it stands. Kraft can make that 2 positions if he gets a little overtake done there. But he's somewhat blundered what could have been a race win for him to really take him back into true contention for this championship. As we head onto the final lap, the fairy tale story is nearly at a close. The boy who took the fastest time in time trial. They're still going at it. JT took the fastest time in time trial. He took the fastest time in the groups. He looked to have taken Super Pole, but I think some sort of technical issue means that he ended up not doing so as he comes through the final few corners of his first ever Formula E race. It's going to be Charge JT for the next EV team who wins the Berlin ePrix. I stole these words. Comes home in 2nd place for the Virgin team. The first time he has been beaten by anybody other than Corvid. Corvid will lead home Kraft just across the line. Oh no, it's Kraft on the timing sheet. Who takes 3rd? It's the stall that did it. It's the stall that's counteracted Corvid's ping. A great 5th place for Matimar, and Andries will take 6th. Corvid is not very happy. Gorlomi takes 7th place. Antti in his first race for the Audi team. Quite a quiet race, and he'll be very pleased to come home in 8th. Jurist, after a very long battle with Lobster all race long, looks to be coming home to take 9th for the Trulli team. Lobster for the final point for the Dragon team that he drives for. Juan Dorn just outside of the points in the end.
Looks like he was a bit angry about that.
Little bit. Jaruni, 12th place, and Hetmenica, last of our finishers, but that takes nothing away from his race because he had genuine pace to fight in and around 13th position from the get-go. After 15 minutes, 22 seconds, 1700ths of a second, with the fastest lap of the race as well, taking 30 points this weekend, Charge JT. What a performance from the rookie debutant. Stoli, then Kraft on our timing sheets, who just got ahead of Corvid come the finish line. Matimar took 5th ahead of Andries, Gorlomi, then Antti, Jurist, then Lobster. Juan Dorn ahead of Jaruni, Hetmenica, then X6, Khan, Krunk, and Flix. The final 4 of those drivers were our DNFs in this race. I think 13 finishes is probably still there or thereabouts a record for Formula E, so we'll absolutely take it. Kubo and Nuna, I'd love your rundowns of the race, and then when you're ready, just head straight into interviews.
No, take it away.
Alright, good race here. I would say Charity really managed to put himself there in the mix of the likes of Stoli and Corvid, and they obviously both of them. I think that time record was a really good choice. He certainly had some trust on his pace to just keep that gap, and then Stoli looked to be getting closer, but then towards the end of the race he was just losing time on the final few laps, and that really just allowed for JT to get away with the win. And Corvid, well, I don't think really had a good start. It was down to P5, had to pass Mati, had to pass Kraft, but then Kraft had that stall at the beginning, which then just allowed him to take back 3rd, basically, even though he finished behind. And yeah, it was, I guess, an interesting race. Stoli gets a little bit closer now to Corvid for the championship, although I think Corvid will still maintain a good gap now with just 2 rounds to go in London, and no, actually it's actually 3 rounds. The next race is going to be in Moscow. So yeah, let's see how this ending for the championship is going to be.
Yeah, well put. Well, let's go straight into some interviews then. Very happy to do them. The fans have quieted down a little bit. You might have heard them banging and smashing away during the race. They are just passionate about their electric racing. We will start with, I think, yes, he is here, our race winner in his debut race. JT, you've come over here from your silly little Formula E sports cars and you've won in a proper machine. How does it feel?
Oh, well, it feels amazing. It's quite nice to win in such a way by a few seconds. The undercut was obviously the best choice, I think. Able to get in front without having to go for any moves, and being able to keep it throughout the race. I don't know if Isto was making some mistakes or something at the end, how I was gaining time, but A pretty clean race overall. I'm quite happy with it.
Any chance we can see you back for the next few races?
I have very much enjoyed this, so I'll think about it. I'll think about it.
Good to hear. Good to hear. We might see a new team on our hands.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, by the mighty Joe. Well done, mate.
Thank you.
We will go next to I Stole These Words. Istar, I couldn't pinpoint anything that particularly went wrong out there today. Very well run race by you and a good 10 seconds ahead of everyone else. But Joe just had the pace and then he took the undercut. That proved to be decisive.
Yes, I had 0 pace in the first stint, so he was just attached to my rear wing, and yeah, he could have won at a canter. I think I was a bit fortunate that he not a bit fortunate. Just like I undercut me, but I just sort of I didn't really go for it because I thought, well, if I go now, I'm going to get stuck behind somebody in the pack. And actually, I'd rather just have second place if I'm going to have to kind of settle for something, because he just had so much more pace than me. Like doing a 38.23 on hards is ridiculous. So you know, so I think it's fair enough. And towards the end, I was sort of catching a little bit on the slightly fresher hards, but I didn't have the pace to catch him. So GG to JT.
Yeah. Well. I'm not sure quite what it means for the championship. I think this means Virgin do well, and you definitely have something over Corvid in the championship. Just a few rounds to go. Do you think that gap is closable?
We'll see how much it is, but I don't know. I'm not sure with the 2 DNSs. I think it's unless Corvid has a DNS, which it doesn't seem to. I mean, I'm helped by the fact that we're not racing next week, because I wouldn't been available next week, so that's helpful for me. But I don't know. I don't think it.
To my count, it's 25 odd points, so I think that would have to be a Corvid DNS.
Yeah. I think if Corvid DNSs, then it's every chance. But I think without that, it's going to be difficult to take that many points out of him every week.
All right. Well, thank you for the interview, mate, and congratulations. Good race.
Cheers, pal.
We'll go straight to Corvid, actually. Corvid, any chance of a DNS in the upcoming weeks?
We'll see. Given my sleep schedule, probably not, actually. Yeah, today was really rough.
Go on, run us through it.
Thought I got third in Super Pole, then it ended up being fourth, and then I got absolutely murked at the start by Matty. He made the dive of all dives, and I fell from third to fifth in one corner, and then I just sat behind him for too many laps. At that point, it was just chasing crap for the rest of the race. The overcut actually really helped me a lot against him, and it helped me really close up to him really quickly on the second stint. I got the move done. I feel like it was fairly clean, but the issue, I don't know what's going on with the stall, because it looked like he was I sort of recognized where he was on the track, but the stall just meant that he was going to finish 4 or 5 car lengths in front of where he was.
Yeah, I think we do have to.
It ended up being more than 6 or 7 than 5, and then he was saying that he finished behind me on his screen, so I'm just not sure what's going on with that.
I think that's right. What we'll probably do is run with the official results for this week, and if the stalls prevail for the Virgins, then we might have to have a look into that for a bit of time correction, because it's odd that, and it was ahead on spec screen as well.
Yeah, that's weird.
But yeah, still solid race from you, and you look to, if you're able to keep on pumping in the races to the end of the season, wrap up the championship. So good luck in doing that.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, I'm not looking forward to. I'll be happy with Battersea, but I'm not looking forward to Moscow at all.
Yeah, well, the track's not been made yet, mate, so we don't actually know. We don't.
I don't know.
The layout is not promising. That's fair enough.
Yeah, exactly.
And then finally, and we can hear the bell ringing to signal it's the end of interview time, but we'll go very quickly, if we can, to Hetmenica, making his first competitive appearance in Ultimate Racing 2D in pretty much a year. I know that you weren't overjoyed with the driving of X6 in that race, but you ended up beating him by about 200 seconds.
Yeah, well, everyone under me left, so it's not very hard to beat him at that point.
True, but any positives to take from today? Potential return to jail for you?
I wouldn't count it likely. Yeah, abysmal race. I mean, it was fun in the end, but just getting rear-ended the moment you overtake someone, that isn't fun. And I get that it's a difficult track, so I've already calmed down, which usually at this point I wouldn't have. But yeah, tough.
Well, character development there at least. You were just a few seconds off Jeru in the end, and himself just a few seconds off the likes of Urist, Lobster, and Juan. So you weren't anywhere near off the pace.
Oh, I'm confident that I could have beat Jeru if it wasn't for the constant crashing. But that's racing, I guess.
That is racing. Well, still, welcome back, mate. We will end it, I believe, there. Thank you so much for watching this Formula E race. It's been very entertaining. We had a first-time winner, and most shockingly of all, we had 18 drivers in qualifying, 17 in the race, and we actually all got everything done in relatively good time. So we'll be back in 2 weeks' time after the late season break as we head across to Russia for the Moscow ePrix of 2015. But until then, bye-bye.